Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be creating a clone of the Microsoft website using React JavaScript. So this is the website right here. We're going to be doing all of this. We are going to make these grids and all the good stuff. And this is only for the home page. I was thinking about making a clone of the entire website, but it's currently very big to put into one video, at least currently. So I might do some parts, but currently I'm just going to focus on the home page. So to get started, I have a GitHub repository called Microsoft Clone, which contains all the images that we're going to need in this project. These are the images that we're going to need, and then it also contains my data arrays, the footer.js, which is obviously the footer that we have here, and then it contains section 1, 2, and 3.js. So I'm going to show you that. So section 3 is this grid, so this grid with 4 images. Section 2 is this, and then section 1 is this grid right there. Okay, so there are a few things that we need to go through before we get started. So you can please read the readme so that you know the requirements that we're going to need. And please note that the data arrays that I have made, these that I have right here, were made on 27th December. And I've just noticed that there have been some changes to the Microsoft website currently, such as this image wasn't there when I was making the data arrays, as well as these links. But that's okay. We're just going to work with what we have, and then we're going to move on and maybe see if we can add some more. So let's see. Number one requirement is Node.js installed on your system. So if I go to this link, you'll see that you can download the long-term support or the current one. You can choose whichever you want, but I currently have the long-term support installed on my system. And then once you install it, you can open your console and you can just say node, which will open up this. So if this opens up, then it means you have Node.js installed on your system. If you want to confirm the version, you can say node-v. You can see I have version 14.15, which is the current one right there. Not really the current one, but the long-term support. The current one is version 15.5. Okay, another thing that you'll need is a basic understanding of React hooks, but I'm coming to realize that this isn't really necessary because I'm going to try and explain everything that I'm doing in this video, and it's not really a very hard concept to grasp. And you can also use class-based components if you would like, but I'm going to be using React hooks for this video because it's so much easier and it's so much faster. Another thing that you'll need is the React Developer Tools Chrome extension, which I currently don't have because I'm on a guest tab, so I can't really install extensions. But once you install this React Developer Tools extension, then you'll have access to 2 more tabs in your what's it called, Chrome Developer Tools, and the tabs are called Profiler and Components, which actually they really help you when using React and going into Redux and everything. So the fourth thing that we'll need is the Tailwind Css Cdn, because we're going to be using Tailwind CSS for this project, and it's actually very nice. So you can visit cdnjs.com. Let me do that, and then you can say Tailwind CSS, and you can just grab the link tag. So I'm going to do that. So just copy it. Actually, I shouldn't have that, but it's okay. You can install Tailwind CSS via npm, but that involves a little more setup that I don't really want to get into because I'm not very proficient with Tailwind CSS. But if you want to go through that process, you can visit this link that I have in my readme. So let me just do that, and you can see it gives you installation guides. You can install it as a post CSS plugin. You can install it via npm like this, and it involves a little more. If you have, where is it? Where is it? There's a little more setup that is involved with this. That's why I didn't want to get into it. And in case it also details all the bugs that you might get if you install it via npm, and it really works out very nice. I've done this before, but it's a really long process that I don't want to get into. The upside of this is that there's an extension in Visual Studio called Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. So once you install it via npm, that extension actually works, and it's very convenient. It is very convenient. I'm going to show you what it does in a moment. So one thing that I forgot to add, the number 5, is that you will need Git installed in your system, but that's only to clone this repository and maybe to push it to GitHub once we are done. So if you want to do that, you can go to git-scm.com. I think it should be, but yeah, and then you can just download the version for your operating system. Okay, so once we do that, once you have Git installed, then I would like to start right ahead, and I'm going to start it from here because I don't have this folder on my my desktop. So I would just like to start it from here so that you can see the setup that is involved. So I'm going to open my console, my command prompt, like that, and then I'm going to grab this link. So you can just copy this to the clipboard, and then you can cd into my desktop or whichever place that you want your workspace to be located. Okay, so once you do that, you can say git clone, and then I want to clone this link that I just copied. So once I do that, it will clone into my folder called Microsoft Clone, the same as the name of the repository really. And then once it is finished like that, I can cd into that folder. So Microsoft dash clone, like that, and then I can open Visual Studio Code in that folder like that. So in places full screen, increase the font. Okay, so these are the images. We've just gone through this really. We've gone through this. This is the README. If you want to go through it once again, the section 1 JS, section 2 JS, and the section 3 JS. So there's one thing that I forgot to mention. I already canvassed my React application. So if I cd out of that folder, I did npx create react dash app, like that, and I called it ms what they call it, ms react clone maybe. So Microsoft React Clone, this is what I called it. And then once I did that, then I have my application open right here. This is it right here. So you can do that if you haven't done npx create react app. So this will install everything that you see here. It has the public folder, the source folder, and everything that we are going to remove most likely. And this also initializes an empty Git repository, so you don't have to do Git init once again when you're pushing to GitHub. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my images folder from here, and I'm going to copy it into my public folder because I want these images to be served from the public folder. So I'm just going to say copy right here, and I'm going to paste it into my public folder like that. And then for my README, I'm just going to grab everything like this, and I'm going to replace everything that is inside this README. Okay, so I'm just going to do that, and I'm just going to paste that in, and I'm going to save that. So I've just replaced the default README that is canvassed using create react app. And then for my section 1, 2, and 3 and the footer JS, I want these to be served inside a folder in my source called data. So I'm going to go into my source and create a new folder called data, and I'm going to grab this, and this, and I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to paste them inside there. So once we do that, I think we are done with this. So I'm just going to full screen that. Let me close this first, and then now we can begin our setup. So I'm going to go back to my cdnjs.com, and I'm going to grab this link, and I'm going to copy it into my index.html, and I'm going to copy it at the bottom right there, and I'm going to remove everything from this comment, and I'm going to remove the manifest JSON until right there. I'm going to remove everything, and I hope I remember to change this theme color. Okay, so I'm also going to remove this comment because I don't like these comments. Okay, so let me save that, and then I can remove this favicon and the logos and the manifest and the robots.txt, delete them. So we only have our index.html file and the images folder in our public folder. So in our source folder, we're also going to remove app CSS, we're going to remove app test.js, and we are going to remove the logo, the report web vitals, and the setup tests. Like that, we're going to remove everything. Okay. What else do we need to do? In our package.json, I don't think we're going to be installing any other dependencies. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need any other dependencies, so this is okay as it is. And then in our index.js, we're just importing React DOM, and I should remove this as well and remove this as well. And you can see we're just rendering our app component, which is this right here. So we're going to remove this as well, and I'm going to just import React from React like that. And then for the return statement, I'm just going to return an empty div like that, and then I'm going to say ms clone like that. So if you're wondering how I'm able to use emmet in React, it's because in my settings JSON, if I go to my settings JSON right there, I have emmet.include languages, and I have JavaScript and JavaScript React. So you need to include this if you want to use emmet in ReactJS in JSX really. So let me go through my extensions. Okay, so this is the extension I was talking about, Tailwind CSS IntelliSense, and you can see that it actually gives you the classes that are available in Tailwind CSS once you install it via npm. But since we don't have that, we're going to be using something called the Tailwind CSS cheat sheet. So let me close this and this as well as this. So this is the cheat sheet that we're going to be using. It's found at netgev.com/tailwind cheat sheet. I'm going to leave a link for this in the description, and it has all the classes that are available in Tailwind CSS. Okay, I have Prettier, which is my code formatter, live server, but we're not really going to use this, and I need to uninstall this because I'm not going to use Java. But for React, we are for the shorthand properties that we're going to be performing, you need the ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native snippets, which will allow you to quickly generate components based on some things. And the most that we're going to use is, for example, RCC. If you do RCC, it will generate, if I'll just come and here say RCC, it will generate a class-based component but we don't need to do that right there. And then the most common one that we're going to use really is where is it? Is this one, RAFCE, which will generate a React arrow function component and export it as default like that. So if I just show you what that does, if I say RAFCE like that, it creates your function, it creates your return statement, and then it creates your default export like that. So this is really convenient if you don't want to keep on typing the same thing over and over again. And then it also imports React at the top. That's why you see there two right there. So I think that is all that we need. You can have the auto rename tag. So what the auto rename tag is that if I change this, you see that the end tag also changes. If I change this to article like that, you can see it changes the end tag as well, but I just want a div for now. And the bracket pair parallelizer is just for the brackets to so that I know where I am currently in my block of code. So let's get started really. Let's get started now. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let me just say npm start so that I can start my development server, and then I can close this down as that starts. And then we can say I want to create a components folder inside my source folder, which will have my showcase folder, not my folder, but let's just go through this for a moment. So I'm going to have a component for my navigation bar at the top, which is this, and I'm going to have another component for my showcase, which is this, and then another component for this, and another one for this, and another one for this, which will most likely have the same styles as this. So we're going to be using the same styles, but we're using Tailwind CSS anyway, so I don't think we're going to be needing this. We might have to add some custom styles, but I'm going to try and limit that. And then another component for this, which will have the same styles as this, as you can see. And then another component for this and this, and all the good stuff. So we're going to have quite a few things to do. So this is my React application. As you can see, it just says MS clone, which I've returned from this. And then, okay, so let me place this side by side. I can do that like that. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to create a components folder inside my source folder. So components like that, and I'm going to call my first component header.js, and in the header I'm just going to say RAFCE. Oops, like that. Let me close this sidebar, and actually no, let me open it. We need the logo, the Microsoft logo, right? We need the Microsoft logo. So what we are going to do is I'm going to grab the logo, this right here. I'm going to grab it, so copy it, and then inside my source folder I'm going to have another images folder like that. And I'm going to say paste it inside there, and I'm going to paste the logo inside there. Okay, and I'm going to import that logo in my header. So import logo from, where is it coming from my images folder / logo.png. The reason why I have done this, I've added another images folder, is because if I try to access the logo from the public folder, then it lies outside the source folder, so it will throw a big fat error. Okay, so let's do that, and we can say let's return a header like that, which will have class names from Tailwind CSS, and in the header I want to return what do we need to do? We need to have our Hamburger menu, right? We need our Hamburger menu, and we need our icon, and then the logo. Okay, so we need three things. So for the first, I'm going to say div with a class of menu-btn. The reason I've added these classes because I don't want it to confuse me, because we have three divs. So this, I'm just going to say here, this is the Hamburger menu like that, which I think we're going to create in CSS actually, now that I think of it. And then I've realized that we need to install React icons so that we can use these. Okay, so let me add a to do, and I'm going to say install React icons. We're going to do that, and once we have the Hamburger menu, this is confusing me. I'm going to add a search. This is the search icon. The search icon should be here, and then I'm going to say another div with a class of logo, and this div I'm going to say the image, the source will be from the logo that we have imported, and then for the alt I'm just going to say Microsoft like that, and then we're going to have another div with the class of cut. Let me just say cut because it's the first item right there, and I'm going to say FA cut like that, because I think that's the class from Font Awesome, which will give us this icon. And then I'm going to say FA sign in should be, I think that should be it. But one thing you'll realize is that these are inline elements, okay, and I want them to display as flex. So I'm going to place this inside a div, not a dir, a div like that, and I'm going to place this inside a div again, and I'm going to do that the same for this. So place this inside a div, and then place this inside a div like that. So let's save that. Let's see what happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens because I don't have it in my app.js, so I need to import it. So import header from, where is this coming from? It's coming from my components folder, and it's called header.js like that. And in order to render it, then I want to return my React fragment. I like rendering things inside React fragments. So return my fragment like that, and I just want to return my header component. header like that. So let's save that. And FA cut is not defined. So in order to fix that, then we just need to, let me add my terminal, and I'm just going to say npm install react-icons, and the devs in the documentation for React icons, then they recommend installing it with -- save flag like that. So once that is done, we can reload this and it shouldn't give us an error. I hope so, but it still will because we haven't imported these two icons. So let me do that, and I'm going to say import. They're named imports, so I'm going to say fa cut like that, and I'm going to say fa sign in, and these are coming from react-icons/fa because they are font awesome classes like that. I hope this runs faster. Okay, so we can begin styling all of this with Tailwind CSS, and I just want this to display flex. So that's the class for display flex for the Tailwind CSS, and I just want this as well to display flex, but you can't really see anything because this is still running. Let me just pause the video and then I'm going to unpause it once this finishes. Okay, so there were some mistakes in importing this. It's not FA cut, it's FA shopping cart, and for this icon it's not a sign-in icon, it's in FA user plus, and it's coming from React icons/FA. So you can also replace it at the bottom right there. And for that, we also need the Hamburger Menu icon actually, and the search icon. So let me see if I can remember these classes. FA bars should be, and then FA search like that. So let me replace this and say this should return FA bars like that, and then this should return FA search. I hope that's it. Let's see, and we have it right there. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is now begin to style it. We're using Tailwind, and we just need to go inside and add class names for each. And for the class name for the header, because I want it to display flex, I just want to say flex. That's the class. If I save that, you can see that. And then to align them to the center, I think the class is items-center, should be like that. And then to justify content to space between so that it actually aligns as this is, then we need to just say justify between, should be like that. Okay, so let's deal with these the margins between these two icons. And in order to do that, I can just say I can go inside this div and add a class name, and I can say the class name for this should be, I want a margin on the what's it called, on the x-axis. So I can say margin on the x, I want it to be 2. Let's see that like that. It spaces it out, so I'm just going to copy this. Oops, should not have done that. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to place it right there. Nope, not there. I want this to be on the bottom one, so that it pushes away from this margin. Okay, like that. It's looking nice. Okay, actually, you know what, let me increase the margin on these. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this mx, let's say 4, not max, mx 4 like that. mx4, okay, mx4 is fine. mx4 is fine. Let me reduce the size of this image so I can go into my index CSS. I can remove this, remove this, and I can just say for the header, it has a class of header, should be. I didn't give it a class of header, so let me just do that, header like that. For the header, I want the logo, I want the class of logo, and I want the image, and I want the image to to have a width of 100 pixels. Too small. 200 pixels. No, let's say 150 pixels. And 80 pixels. Let's do that, and then let me just check the padding for this. So it has a padding on the header. So let me go back to my header.js, and I can say I want a padding on the y-axis. So py on the padding on the y-axis. I want a padding of 3. Let's see that, like that. Okay. And just like that, we are done with our header. Now on bigger screens, you'll notice that we'll need to add all of this. Okay, so we're going to do that. No worries about that. So let's deal with our showcase next. Fantastic. Okay, so we're for the showcase, we're going to do a similar thing as we did for the image right there. Okay, so I'm going to grab the image for the showcase, and I named it what did I name it? I think I named it what's this called? Let me see. Bundle now. No, seriously, hero. Oh, I called it hero. Okay, nice. So this is the image that we'll need for lower screens. So hero 539. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this. Will this work? Will this work? Let's see that. Let's just see that. Close this. Oops, no, I should grab this image. So hero 539, I'm going to copy that and paste it inside my folder, inside the source folder, inside my images folder. So paste that, and then for the hero, I'm going to say I need to create my hero component. So let me create a new file called hero.js, and I'm going to say RAFCE like that, and I'm going to import my image. So import hero from, it's coming from my images folder, and it's called hero.png like that. And then I'm going to return a section like that. And once I return the section, then I want a div which will have my image. So my image is called hero like that. And for the alt, I'm just going to say hero, and then below this div, I'm going to have another div, and it will have an h1. Actually, it should have this tag. So I'm going to just place that tag inside a paragraph, and I'm going to say count down sale like that, and then I'm going to have an h1 saying up to 50%. Seriously, I want this to stop scrolling. Okay, there you go. I'm going to say bundle and save up to $430. And then for the paragraph below that, I'm going to say complete your Surface Pro 7 with choice of select type, cover, and free sleeve. And then below this we have an href, but I'm going to make it a button saying shop now, which has an icon that we are going to import, and it's called FA chevron right. So I need to import this icon before I forget it, and I'm going to say import FA chevron right from React icons, and it's coming from the Font Awesome library like that. Okay, let's save this. Let's see how that looks. And it does nothing because I keep forgetting to import this. So hero, and I'm just going to render it below the header and call it hero like that. Has already been declared. What? Okay, I need to rename this. So I'm just going to rename it to showcase, rename this to showcase, and it should work. Can't resolve. what Hero 539. That's the name, Hero 539. That's the name of the image. So let's see that like that, and we get that image. So of course we need to begin styling it, right? Okay. So in order to style this, then I need to go inside this div. I'm going to give this div a class name Tailwind CSS. It has a dark gray background, so I can say BG, not dark gray but light gray, BG gray, and let's see, give it a lightness of 300. Let's say 200. Lighter just a bit, like that. Let's say padding all round. So padding all round, just say P, and I'm going to say padding of 5. No. I want the margin to center. I want everything to center. So let me say text center. I think that's the class. Okay, there you go, text center. Let me now add the margin. Right, I can add the margin, not the margin but the padding all round, and I can say padding 10. Okay, and why is everything like this? Let me see if I can reset the styles just a bit. Oops. Let me see if I can just reset the styles. Say margin all round of 0, padding all round of 0, and box sizing of border box. Why is this? Okay, we'll figure it out later. So this doesn't work. We'll figure it out later, no problem. So padding 10 all round, or you know what, let me say padding on the y-axis, so top and bottom of 10. Yeah, and then padding on the x, let's say padding on the x-axis, let's say 3, so that this doesn't seem close, so close to the edge. This doesn't look as good as I expected. Let me just remove this for now and uncomment this. Okay, so let's style our paragraph. This has a background color of white. Let's, where is it? Canada says, so I'm going to say class name, and I'll say BG white, and I'm going to say what's the class to display inline block. So it's just called inline block, like that. So I'm just going to give it a class of inline dash block. This is why this is really convenient. It's very convenient, that's why I like it. So inline block, let me save that. Let me see how that looks, like that. Let me give it a padding on the x-axis, or rather let me just say padding all around of 1. And then I need the text color. How do you change the text color? No, the color, where is it? Text black, so text red. This has a red text, like that. Okay, so I'm going to say text red of, let's say 500. Let's see how that looks, like that. And I need to change this font weight to bold. So font weight, with the font weight, font bold. Let's say that, font bold, like that. Okay, that's looking nice. Okay, let me increase this to, where was it? Let me increase this to 700. Okay, and then let me increase the padding on the x-axis to 5. Oops, no, that's not where I wanted it. Padding, let me say padding y of 1 and padding x of 5. Let's see that, like that. Okay, let me add a margin on the bottom. So how do you say, is it MB? So margin on the bottom of, let's say 3. Pushes this down a bit, and then, but let's say this is the H1. Let me just confirm that that's the H1. Okay, so class name, I'm going to give this as class of font bold like that, and then I can say font size. How did I, is it text XL? Let's see, font size. Okay, so text, I want about 30 pixels, so text 3L, so text 3XL like that. Let's save that. Let's see, just too big. Reduce that, and then let's add a margin on the bottom of 2. Pushes this down just a bit, and then let me add padding all around for this. I see that it has a bit more padding, so where was it? Padding on the X, let's say padding on the X axis to 5, oops, to 6. What does this, is this even working? Okay, px, let's say 10. So in order to avoid repeating ourselves, let's say padding around of 10, same style. And now let's deal with our button, right? So button class name, this is bg red dash 500. Is it red? It's red. Okay, let's say 600. Oops, bg red of 600. Let's say text white, so that it has a white text. Let's say padding all around of 3. Let's say margin on the top of 3. Let's say that. Padding, this padding is too much. Let me say padding on the y of 2 and padding on the x-axis of 4. Like that. It's looking nice. And Tailwind has a very nifty way of adding hover effects. So in order to add a hover effect, you can just say hover and put a full colon, and then just say I want the background color to be red by 800, for example, and you can see, look at that, it's looking nice. Okay, but I know this is, probably not the same, but we're not going for the same, we're just going for the styling. Okay, so what do we do next? We need to do our, what's it called, our section 1, and that's where things get a little juicy. So I can close this, the hero. I can close the hero, and then I can go into my components folder and create another component called what should I call this? Choose your Microsoft. I'm just going to call it choose your Microsoft. Choose your ms, like that, .js. So it's common case, choose your ms.js, and I'm going to say RAFCE, and we need to import our data. I can spell. Let me close this. So I need to import my data, import, what do we call it? Section 1, where's my section 1? So it's a default export, okay? So I can say import data from, what's the folder? It's coming from my data folder, and it's called section 1, like that. And then I need to import use state as well, so that I can set up my state values. So const use, I'm going to say cards, and set cards, like that, which it's going to use state, and it's going to use my data that we've just imported right there. So this is the variable that takes our default use state value, which is actually our data, and then this is the function that controls our variable. So once we do that, then I want to map over this data that we have and then display it, right? So I can do that easily, and I can say let me have a section with a class of cards. Actually no, we're going to add the class in Tailwind CSS, and I'm going to say I want to map over my cards data, so cards.map, and for every card then I want to destructure everything. So let me just place this to the side, I want to destructure the id text and the image. So const id text and image, image, and this will be coming from my card like that. And then we need to set up our return. So I want to return an article with the key of id, and then I want to return, how is it structured? It's structured as the image first, then the text. Okay, so I can return the image, right? I can say let me return the image, and this will be coming from my image that we have destructured. I'm going to just say card, and then the text I'm going to place it inside a paragraph and just say text like that. Let's save that, and then let's import this in our app.js. So it's called choose your ms like that, and I'm just going to render it choose your ms. Card is not defined. This should read card, not cards, like that. Very nice, fantastic. Okay, so I want this to go side by side currently, so I just want to add a class name on this, and I'm going to say class name of flex like that, and I'm going to say items center like that, and let me add a padding all around. Actually padding, yeah, let me add it all around, a padding of let's say 6. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's say padding on the left. Okay, so padding on the left, so px, let's say padding of 6 like that, which will do that. And then I'm going to say py, let's say padding on the y-axis of 2 like that. Okay, not so nice, but let's see, let me add some margin on the text for this. So I'm going to add here class name on the paragraph. I'm going to say margin on the x-axis of 3 like that, and then that's all we have for this. It's looking nice, and these should be links actually, and I made them paragraphs. I can fix that easily by saying this should be an href. Actually, you know, that will give me an error because the href that we have currently doesn't go to any page because we're dealing with only the home page. So React will give me an error if I try to push a hashtag on it. So I'm just going to leave it as a paragraph. But if you're going to add more pages to this, you can just change this to an a tag and just add the href here, href to whatever page you want, and this will change it to a link like that. Oops, let me close this terminal. Let me go back to my terminal, my node terminal like that. And this is there that I was saying the href actually, it's actually not an error, but it's a warning. The href actually requires a valid value to be accessible like that. Okay, and you notice that now they are links. They are links, but I don't want them to be links currently, so I'm just going to turn it to a paragraph. And then I want for the hover effect, I want the text decoration. How do you add text decoration for this? Text decoration. So text decoration underlines, I'm just going to say underline like that. And see that? It's looking nice. And then for the hover, I also want the cursor to be pointers. So pointer cursor, how do you do that? So cursor pointer, I'm just going to add a class of cursor pointer before the hover. So cursor dash pointer like that. And look at that. It's almost, let me add the font weight. I can do that. Oops. I can do that by going here and saying the font. How do you add font weight? I've already forgotten. Font weight. You can say font bold. Font dash bold like that. Okay, that's too bold. Too bold. Let's say semi bold. Semi bold. Let's look at that, and that's much better. That is actually much better. So the next thing that we need to do is actually deal with this section next, and this is a really easy section. It's almost similar to this actually. So we're going to do that. We can do that by, let me close this, let me close the section 2, and let me create another another component called what should we call this? Let me just call it section 2. So I'm going to say section2.js like that, which will be using this data array that we have. And then in section2.js I'm going to say RAFCE. Let me remember to import it. So let me just do that, and I'm going to import section2, and I'm going to render it as section2 like that. And I'm going to say, let me import my use state like that, and I'm going to set up my state variables. So I'm going to say cards once again, and set cards like that, which is going to use state. We need to import our data, so I'm going to say import section, let me just say import data from my data, and it's called section2 like that. And I'm going to use state as the data because I gave it default export. Did I? Like that. Looking nice. What should I call that? And then for my return, I'm going to return a section once again, and inside the section I'm going to go into my cards, and I'm going to map over each card like that. And then I'm going to destructure my data. So destructure the ID, the image, the title, I think it was image, title, description, and link. So description and link, and this will be coming from my card like that. And then I need to set up my return so that you can display this. So I'm going to return an article once again with the key of ID like that. And then I'm going to say return, first of all, return divs, right? I want them to return divs, and inside these divs I want my image like that, and this will be coming from the image. The art will just be card like that. And then I want to return an h2 saying the title like that. And then finally the paragraph saying the description. And this is once again a link, but I'm faced with the same dilemma that we had right there. So I'm not going to return a link. Instead, I'm going to return a button and then style it as a link. So for the button, the text is just going to say link like that. So let's save that. Let's see what we have. And we have this looking very nice, very nice, very nice. Let's see, this is a grid, so we need to display it as a grid. Okay, let's first style the button. So for the button, I want the class name of cursor pointer like that. I want the text to be red and with a shade of 500 like that. That's too small. Let's say 800. Oops. Let's say 600, and then I can change the font weight to font semi-bold like that. And then let me add a margin on each of the divs. So margin on the y-axis of, actually class name first. Let me say margin bottom of 5. Push them out a bit. For the article, let me add a class name of grid because I wanted to display grid. And then actually, you know what, let me remove this margin from here. Oh, will that work? Let me first search for the grid gap. So let me say gap 5. So gap dash 5. Did that change anything? Gap dash 10. Let me just remove that from there. Let me just remove this as well. Okay, let me do this. Let me add some padding. Let me add padding on the article, so class name. Let me add padding all round of 5, which also separates this, so I don't want this margin anymore. Right, okay. And then let me check this. The images are a bit bigger. Let's see if we can deal with images. Like for the image, this is repeat, this is auto, this is background. Where's the width? Where's the width? I don't see the width. Okay. Let me go into my index CSS, and I'm going to say for all the images I want the max width to be 100%. I'm going to grab this and move it at the top, and let's see that if I change this to 110 and 20, it doesn't really work. Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Oops. I want these images to be bigger, but I can't seem to find the style to increase the size. So what I could do, all right, let me just check something once again. Inside I'm in section 2, right? So inside, let me say, let me give this a class name of section 2, like that, which I can target it in my CSS, so section 2. And I'm going to say for the images I want the width to be 500 pixels, like that, and that's 500 pixels. Okay, so that increases the font size, but I should reduce it for lesser widths, right? I should actually do that, but I'm not going to do it currently because I need to style these headings. So let me do that. Let me style the headings for the H2s. I'm going to give this a class name of font semi-bold. I've actually just realized that my font might actually be small, so let me just increase my zoom level on this, like that. I hope this is much better, much easier to read. And then I'm going to say I want a margin on the y-axis on the top and bottom of 2. Pushes this down a bit. Let's see how that looks. Oops, that's too much. Let me say margin top of 2 and then margin bottom of 1. Font semi-bold, let me say increase the font size, so text 2XL. Text XL, that's much better. And then what do we say next? Let's see this. Looking nice. It has a bit more margin. So I can do that by say increase the margin to padding 8. That's looking nice. Let me actually make this responsive by saying let's have a max width of 100%. So once I do this, I don't have to scale it down because it will be responsive automatically. Okay, so that will be it for this section, should it? Now, in case you're wondering, scaling it up is going to be very easy. It's going to be very easy because we're going to be using the grid, so don't you worry about that. I'm going to show you how to do that very easily in what's it called, in Tailwind. And maybe actually I should do that right now. Maybe I should, but I think it will need a bit more explanation. Okay, Okay, so let's deal with this. Let's actually first just deal with this. So I'm going to say for my game pass, I'm going to create another component called game pass JS, like that, and going to do the same thing that we did. I'm going to grab this image, so game pass 539. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it inside my images folder in my source folder, so this images folder. And for the game pass, I'm going to say RAFCE, and then I'm going to say import game pass from up one folder for my images, and it's called game pass. Wait, is it? Oh, it's called game underscore pass underscore 539.png, like that. And then I'm going to say return a section once again, and for this section I'm going to return it's basically the same thing that we had in our hero. So let me just copy the styling. How did I do it? Return a section with a div, so return a div with the image, with the image, like that, and I'm going to call that image game pass just as we did. And I'm going to say for the alt, I'm going to say Xbox game pass, like that, and then return another div with an h1, say, oh, not an h1, this should be an h, let me make this what, let me make this an h2. If I make this an h2, then I would need for this to be h3s so that they are smaller. So let me fix that. Let me just fix that. This is in the section 2. Where was it? In my section 2, and change these to h3s, like that. So they still have the same styling, but they're just h3s. And let me close this. Let me turn an h2 saying what? Xbox game pass ultimate. And then for the paragraph, I'm just going to just copy this if I can, paste it in, and then I'm going to have a button below this, actually 2 buttons. So I'm just going to copy that, paste that down, and this will say join now. And then this, if you've noticed that I'm not using the chevrons, and this other will say compare all plans, like that. Let's begin styling it. But it doesn't show because we haven't imported it. So I can do that by saying game pass, and this will give us an error because the image has the same name. So let me change this to let me change this image. What should I change it to? I'm going to change this image to show image, like that, show img, and I'm going to say show img, like that, and this should work. And it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because I haven't rendered it. So game pass, like that, and voila, there we go. So let's begin to add some styling on this. Let me add styling on this div actually. So class name, we're going to give this a class name a gray, so gray, and I want it to be dark, so let's say 800, like that. Let me say padding all around. How much padding did I place on the hero? You know, this will actually take the same styles as the hero, so let me do this. Let me grab this, let me paste it in this, change this to 800, and then change the text to white, like that. And then let me deal with my h2. So my h2 will have a class name of, let's see how this looks. It's bolder and has a bigger font size, so font semi-bold. And then let me say text dash XL, make it bigger, like that. Let's say margin on the bottom of 4. Is that too much? It's too much. Let's say margin on the bottom of 2. And then for the paragraph, I'm going to give this a class name, give it a margin on the bottom of 2 as well, so it pushes that down. And then let's deal with the buttons. This will have a class name of margin right. How do you say margin right? Like that, of 4. Pushes this away. And then I'm going to say bg white. And then I'm going to say text black. And then let me add a padding on the top. So padding top, actually not padding top, but padding on the y-axis of 1. Let me say 2, and then padding on the x-axis of 5, like that. And we have that, and this looks nice, almost as close to the design. Let's add a hover effect on each one of them, so they both have underlines. Okay, so I can say for the hover, I want a border bottom. How do you say border bottom? How do you add a border bottom? Border, box border, no. Clip border, no. Border rounded, no. This is border radius. I want the border. So border 2, I want this border width 0. No, not border width. Really? Border solid here. This is what I want. So I want border solid. And then actually, let's see this. And we don't see nothing, because the reason why we don't see nothing is I need to add the width on this. So the border width will be you know what, let me just say underline for the text decoration. And then let me say for the hover, I want the opacity once again. How do you change the opacity? Opacity. Text grade, text opacity, no. I want placeholder, no. This is background color, BG opacity. So BG opacity, I want 90. So I want this class right there. Copy that, paste it there, and let's see how this looks. Yeah, let me just make this darker. Actually, will it make it darker or lighter? 60. Okay, let's say 70. What about 80? Yeah, 80 is fine. 80 is fine. Okay, so once we deal with this, then we need to finally deal with this class once again, which will basically be the same as our section 2. So I'm going to call this section 3. New file in my components, call this section 3.js, like that. And I'm going to copy everything that I have in my section 2, okay, because it's basically going to be the same styling. And I'm going to paste it inside my section 3, and I'm just going to rename this data because it's coming from section 3. And then it should have the same information, but let me just confirm it in my section 3.js. Image, title, description, and link, like that. And this is the section 3. This should have a class name of section. Oh, actually, this is my default style, so this should remain the same. And then I need to have a title on the top right there, which says let me just save this first of all, and let me render it to see what we have. So I'm going to grab this, copy it down, should add that, grab this, copy it down, change this to 3, and then render section 3, like that. Let's see that. Oops, I should be checking this. And we have this, you see, reusable styles, and it's just basically the same thing, but let me add the title right here that says for business. So I'm going to have an H. Oops, should it be here? Let's see this. An H2 saying for business, like that. No. Let me add a class name on this. I want the font to be semi-bold like that. I want the padding on the x-axis to be, how much padding did I have here? Padding 8 like that, which will have this. Let me add the font size, increase the font size, so text to 2XL like that. Let me increase margin on the top to 5, pushes it down, and we have that. Looking nice, looking very, very nice. And once we are done with this, then we can deal with our almost final section. So this is this section first, and then this final section. So Microsoft response to COVID-19. So I'm just going to close my data folder, and I'm going to create another component called what should I call this? MS response, like that. MS response.js. Let me render it in my app.js. Actually, let me close these because we don't need them currently, and just going to copy this down, and I'm going to say this is called MS response like that, and I'm going to render it MS response like that, and then I'm going to say RFCE, and we want to return a section. Actually, a div is fine, really. A div with an h to say Microsoft's. Let me just copy it, it's much easier like that, and then we have another paragraph below that saying this like that, and then we have a button below that. Oops, a button below that saying learn more. Okay, let's style this. Let me give this a class name of font semi-bold like that. Let me increase the text to 2XL. Actually, that seems small. Let me say 3XL. Let me see how that looks. 3XL, and that doesn't render because I haven't saved this like that. And it has a background color, doesn't it? It does, a gray background color, and I can do that by saying here, give this a class name of BG gray, and let's say 500. Too dark, let's say 300. Is that good enough? Almost. Let's say 200 like that. Let me text center everything, so text center like that. Let me add a padding on the all round, actually, of 8. Oops, padding 8 all round like that. That seems too much. Let's say padding 6. Let me reduce this to 2XL like that. Let me add a margin bottom, so margin bottom of 4, pushes this down. And then for the paragraph, actually that's too much, let's say 2. For the paragraph, let's say class name, just add a margin bottom on the paragraph of 2 as well to push this button down. So for the bottom, we need to increase the font weight, so I'm going to say class name, increase the font to semi-bold. And then for the hover, I just want the underline like that, and this is what we have. And that is it for this section, and we need to deal with this section next. So I need to import this image once again. So let me just figure out what I call that image. Was it this holiday? This holiday, there it is. So I'm going to copy this image, and I'm going to paste it inside my images folder in my source. So paste it in there, and then let me create my, what's it called, pause that. Let me create my component for this, and I'm going to call it this, oops, this holiday.js. Now my names aren't really that descriptive, so you might want to work on them, but this is really fine for me. Okay, and I can say RAFCE, and then I can import my image. So import holiday img from close the sidebar, go up one folder, and it's inside my images folder, and it's called this holiday underscore 539.png. should be, I hope it is. And I'm going to return a section. Actually, you know what, this section has the same styling as this section, so I'm just going to grab that from my game pass section, my component actually, not section, and I'm going to grab all of this like that, and then I'm going to paste it in there. I'm going to change this button text. Actually, it doesn't have this button, right, doesn't have that button. I'm going to change this text to watch now, like that, and I'm going to grab this text. If I could, I can't. Seriously, I can't grab this text, of course, so we have to type it out. So let me just type this holiday, find your joy, and then I can say follow the story of Rufus, pup whose dream takes him into Microsoft worlds like Minecraft, Flight Simulator, Teams, and Halo. Okay, there you go. Let me save that, and let me change this image to holiday img, and then I'm going to change this text to holiday pass, for example, and then render this out. So copy that, change this to my component name called this holiday, and then render it below this and say this holiday like that, and let's see that, and we have this. Look at that, looking nice, looking dashing. Okay, there's something I've noticed. My padding isn't really equivalent to this, so let me deal with that. I can say padding, let me say padding on the x of 10 and padding on the y of 20. Does it really go up to 20? Okay, that looks nice. So I need to do that for my Game Pass section once again. For my Game Pass, change this padding x to 10, and then padding y to 20. Let me save that, and that looks much better. I think that looks much better. Okay, so finally, or almost, we need to deal with this follow Microsoft. And where did I place this? I don't think I really placed this, but that's okay. We can say create our component. Let me close this. Create our component called social, like that, and I can say RFCE. Oops. No, what have I done? Don't save it. I can say let me delete this. Create my component called social.js. Don't forget the extension name. Close this. I can do RFCE, and I can say I want to import these icons, so import FA Facebook. Is it camel case? And I can say FA Twitter, and I can say FA LinkedIn, and these are coming from React Icons /FA because they're font awesome. And I want to turn a divs and h4 saying follow Microsoft, and then I just want to render out my icons, so FA Facebook, and then FA Twitter, and then FA LinkedIn, like that. Let's see that. Actually, you know what, let me place this inside a div, and let me place this inside a div as well, but I don't really have to because this is a block element, so that I can style this as flex. So let me render this out to see what we have, and I can grab this and I can say social like that, and I can render it and say social like that. Let's see how this looks. Facebook is not imported from this, so this isn't camel case, and LinkedIn as well isn't camel case, and then this should be small and LinkedIn. FA LinkedIn is not defined. Let's go to React icons. Let's see what these names are called. Let's say Facebook. FA Facebook, FA Facebook. Seriously? FA Facebook F. Really? Paste that there. LinkedIn. Oops. Did I break my laptop? Okay, there you go. FA. I want FA LinkedIn. What did I type? Oh, I typed it wrongly. Okay. So we can close that. We can render this out. FA Facebook F, like that, and we should have some. Oops, FA Facebook is not defined because we need to reload that, and then we should have this. We have this at the bottom. So let me add a class name on this. I want them to display flex. Oops, I want them to display flex like that, and then I want this to display flex as well, like that, and then I want this to items center, like that, and then let me add a padding on the Y of 3, let me say 5, and then padding on the X of 8, like that, and then let me add a margin on this on the H4. So class name, let me say margin on the right of 5. Push this out a bit, and then for each of these classes let me add a class name on this, and I can say margin right of 2, and I can copy this. Oops, copy that, paste that there, and paste that there, which will separate them out a bit. And then let me increase the font size, so text let's say Excel will increase. Okay, text Excel, let's say 2XL. Okay, grab this once again, copy it there and copy it there, remove one icon, one quote, like that, and we should have that. Okay, so let me change this text color, so I can say BG color, no, not BG color, but I can say text to blue, and this should be 500. Change it like that to light 800, like that, and I can say text blue, let's say 700. Let's change this to 900 actually, like that. And then I can say for the LinkedIn, I can say text blue, and I can say 600. Actually, it's darker than the rest, right? LinkedIn is darker than the rest. Oh, Facebook is the darkest, but this looks fine as well. And would you look at that, we have our section and we're almost complete. All we need to do now is for the footer, so I can close this down. I can render the footer already, but I haven't created it. So footer, and then I can say this is the footer, like that. Let me create my footer component. So footer JS, like that, and then I can import my data from my footer, and it is that right there. Let me do that. I can say RAFCE and import use state, and I can say let me call this what, let me say links and set links, and then I can say this will be use state, and we need to import our data. So import data from data, and it's called footer, like that, and then I need to return a section, right, a section like that, and I need to map over my links, so links.map, and for every individual link, then I want to destructure my items, and I want to destructure the ID, the title, and the links. This might be a problem, might might be a problem. I didn't think this through. Okay, let me just say ID and the title for now. This will be coming from my link, like that. Let me set up my return, and I can return an article with the key of ID, like this. Let me not return an article, actually. You know what, let me return a div, and this should be footer, not section. Should be footer, like that. Inside my div with the key of ID, I want to return another div with h4s saying title, like that. And then let me destructure my links so that we actually just deal with this now. I want to return ULs, right? Actually, let me do this. I want to map over my links data. Oh my goodness, I shouldn't have named these links, because these are also called links. I can rename them, right? Let's say hrefs, like that, so that it's much easier. So I can say rename this to hrefs, and say hrefs.map, and for every href, then I want to, what I want to do, let me return a list item, right? And this list item will have the key of hrefs. Let's see, will that work? This is very confusing, maybe because I'm getting tired now, but that's okay. So list will have a key of hrefs, and then for the text I'm just going to say href. Will this work? Will this really work? Let's see. Does it call default? Oh, for the footer doesn't. Okay, let me change this. Actually, no, let me just have it as it is, and then no, that will be too much work. Let's say export default footer, like that. That should fix that. What's new? And it doesn't render our this out, because this should be a return. So return, and then at the end of this, let me close my bracket, like that, and like that. Okay, nice. I didn't think that would work, but it works. So we can fix that. Let me remove these bullets in my my CSS. So I'm going to go into my CSS, and I'm just going to say for the ULs, let me just list a type of none, like that, for the ULs and the LIs as well, like that. Let's do that. Okay, so just so we know what we are styling, let me style the titles to font width bold, right? So I'm going to say for this, for the title, let me add a class name, and I'm going to say font semi-bold, and I want the text to gray, and it's about 600. Let's see that. For the footer, I want the class name for this to be bg gray, about 200, like that. Looking nice, looking very nice actually. And then let me add a padding on the x-axis, of 8, and padding on the y of 4. In case you're wondering why I'm choosing 8 specifically, is because I've always had a padding of 8 all around here, so I would like just to maintain some, you know, it's just good practice actually. And then for the links here, right there, I'm going to add a class name on each one of them, and I'm just going to say text gray, and this was 600, so I'm going to say 400. Oops, that's too late. I'm actually just going to say 600 for each one of them once again. And then I can say font size. How do you change the font size? I can say text to small, text small, like that. And then I can say margin on the top and bottom, so margin Y, let me say 2, like that. And then for each of these divs, I want to separate them out, as you can see right there. I want to separate them out, so I can say for the divs, let me have a class name of margin Y, so margin on top and bottom of 5. How does that look? Let's say margin bottom, and let's say 8. Too small, let's say 10. That looks much better, right? That looks much better. Okay. So once again, you'll notice that these are hrefs, they are anchor tags, but I don't want to place anchor tags because React will throw warnings at me. Okay, so we have that, so that's actually it for the footer. And I don't have this actually. I don't have this. Should I do that? Let's see. Still within the footer. Let's see if I can do that. Still within the footer, but just before the closing tag of the footer. Let me have another div. And this is a globe. Let me import this icon, and I can import I think it's called FA globe, I think so, from React icons / font awesome. And then I'm just going to render this, and I'm going to say FA globe, like that. And then I'm going to have a paragraph just saying English and United States. What you would want for this technically is, I think this is a toggle where you choose the languages, but I don't have to do that now. So I'm just going to render a paragraph, and then out of this, let me put this inside a div. Let me place this. Actually, no, that's fine. Actually, I can have another div. Why do you keep doing that? I can have another div with ULs and LIs. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, let me see how this looks on a bigger screen. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So times 8. Let's do that. And then let's say this is the sitemap. This is the contact Microsoft. This is privacy. This is terms of use. This is trademarks. This is safety, and I'm going to say an ampersand so that it actually places that icon, safety and eco. And I can say this is about our ads. And finally, I'm going to say place a Microsoft, not a Microsoft, but place an copyright icon, and I'm going to say Microsoft 2020. Let's do that. Save it, render it, and we have that. And we can style this a bit more. Now this should be inside one single div, okay, because on bigger screens I want this to display justify between, so that they go end to end. And then I can target for the URL, let me say class name, and I can say, let's say text to small, like that, and we will have that. And then I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to copy it for the paragraph as well, like that. And then I can say for the URLs, let me display flex, let me place it before that. I can say flex, like that. And I can say flex wrap. How do you add flex wrap? Flex wrap. So it just has a class of flex wrap, so flex dash wrap like that, and we should have that. And for every list item, I want a margin right of 2, class name first, and I'm going to say margin right of 2. That will be for the first one, so I need to copy this down, copy it there. Oops, what did I do? Copy it there, copy it there, 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 and finally there. I don't need to do it for the last one because there's nothing to the right of this. So let's save that. That actually looks really small. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to say margin right of 4. Much better. And then for the UL, I want a margin at the top so that this separates out. So I'm going to say margin top of 4, like that. And then I'm going to display this as flex, class name of flex for the globe, so that and the text here, so they go like that. And I'm going to say items center, and then for the globe I'm going to add another class name and place a margin on the right of 2 or 3. That's okay, like that. And we have that. Let me just change the text color for each of these to gray, like that. Okay, so they had a class of text gray, so let me just grab this, and then I'm going to place it inside this. That changes. And then for this, I'm going to place it inside this. Let's see if that will change, like that. Okay, looking very nice, and we have that. Okay, so now our dilemma begins, because we need to scale all of this up. Our dilemma begins, right? So obviously I'm going to start with the grids because they're the easiest to scale up. So let me just do that, and I'm just going to do let's see, what can we do? We need to change this image, we need to change this grid and this grid. Okay, so let me go into my, first of all, let me go with the easiest one. I'm going to go with this. So for my section 1, I called it, what do I call it? Choose your Microsoft, like that. Okay, so in order to scale it up, we just need to add something called let me remember this. So for small screens, you need to add an SM, like that, and then you place the styles that you want. And then for medium screens, you need to add medium, like that, and then colon, just like you would do for the hover then colon. And then for large screens, I think it's what's it called, is it LG? And then for extra large screen, I think it's 2XL. These are all classes that you can find in the Tailwind CSS website. So let me just confirm Tailwind CSS. Let me just confirm this. Let me remember where this is. Where's the search? Quick search for anything. Responsive design. Let's see. There you go. So for breakpoint, for the small breakpoint, this is 640 pixels. The medium is 768. Large is 1024. Extra large is 1280, and 2 extra large is 1536 pixels. So this is basically what this does, and this is how you style it. So for the medium, this, for the large, this, and and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's do that. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say for my medium screen, I want this to display as grid, and then I want the, let's say, grid columns, grid. Oops, I can't spell grid, like that. Display grid template columns, so grid columns 1, and I want grid columns to be 2, like that. And that won't do anything. Oh, it does. Okay, wait, it doesn't do anything. I need this to display like that. What am I doing? The reason why it does that is because okay, sorry for the weird cut. So we were styling this for medium screens. So I'm going to say add a class name here, and I'm going to say for the medium screens, then I want this to display as a grid, and I want the grid columns to be 2, and we'll save that, save it. Oh, medium screen hasn't yet been reached. Okay, there you go. So for the medium screens we have this, so this displays as a grid, and we're going to change this image in a moment, but let's deal with this next. So this is my section 2. So section 2 JS, we're going to do the same thing, and I'm going to say for medium screens, I want the grid, and I want the grid columns to be 2, like that, and we have that. And then let me do the same for this. So section 3, like that, and we're just going to say the same thing. Medium, I want the grid, and I want the grid columns to be 2, and we will have okay, that is not what I wanted. I want this to be at the top, which breaks, of course. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Where did I place this? This was here, okay, but I don't want it to be here. Let me just comment it out for a moment so that I can just focus on this, okay? And then we need to, actually we need to add margin on this so that there's some kind of white space on this. So ms response, let me do that, and I'm going to say margin on the bottom of 5, push it down, nope, 10, not 5, 10 really, by 10, like that. And then obviously we need to deal with our footer, so let's deal with our footer, and I'm going to say for the footer, I'm going to go to the top here, and I'm going to say for the medium, I want the grid once again, and I want the grid columns to be 2, like that, okay. So that was just to show you how Tailwind CSS works. So let's scale it up for larger screens once again, and I'm going to start with the 2 extra large because I don't want this to display as what's it called, I don't want this to be displayed as 3. I just want them to go from 2 to 4 immediately. So I can do that by saying for my extra large screens, okay. So let's do that. Let me add it here for the footer first. For the extra large, I just want the grid columns to be how many are there on the footer? Actually they are 1 2 3 4 5 6, so grid columns to be 6, like that, and this happens, so it's looking nice. And then let's do the same for this. For my section 3, for the extra large screens, I want the grid columns to be 4, and I'm just going to copy this because it's basically the same thing that we're doing for the section 2, paste it there. And then for my choose your ms, I want this should be 6. I think there are 6 of them. So we have this, we have this, and we have this. Okay, looking nice, looking nice, looking nice. Let me add a margin between this, between the top of this and this, and I'm going to say margin on the y-axis of 8. Push them down. Okay, okay, okay. It's almost nice, not quite there yet, but almost. Let's deal with this. So it's inside my footer, and it's right there, and I can say where was it? It's this right there. So I can go inside here and say for the class name, I want to start with the small one first. Actually, you know what, let me just say for the medium, I want this to display flex, and I want items center, and I want to justify between, so justify between like that, which should do this. What? Why are you behaving like this? Wait a minute. What's happening here? Flex wrap of wrap. Flex wrap wrap. Okay, I've just realized why this is behaving like this. It's because we have displayed the footer as 6 grids. So this is technically one item inside the footer, so that's why it's displaying like this. I think to fix that, then we would have to do this. I would have to take this out of the footer, right? I would have to take this outside of the footer, but that will give me an error. Okay, that will give me an error, and in order to fix this error, then I just have to take everything in the footer like that and return a React fragment. So that should fix it, and like that, as you can see now, we have it right here, but which means we would have to add some bit more styling for this. So let's just deal with that. This is for medium screens. Let me say first of all, for small screens, I want to add the background color on this. So let me just take the background color that I had on the footer, BG Gray 200, like that, and I'm going to place it inside this before we add the medium screen, like that. And then I'm going to say padding on the X of 8, push that inwards a bit, and then padding on the Y, or maybe padding on the bottom of 4, like that. And then let's begin to scale it up. This actually looks nice as it is, but I want to scale it up from where? Actually, this is really just okay, because we have a flex wrap of wrap on this, so that's fine. That's fine, as you can see, and it scales up. Okay, that's nice. That's okay. So okay, a few more things that we need to do is this, our images, these 3 images, this and this, and then once we do that, then I think we'll be mostly done. Okay, so let's do that. And because this image is actually 539 pixels, I'm going to add a media query for this. Maybe I'm just going to use the use effect from React. Let me just figure out how that works. Okay, I guess so. Let's deal with this. Let's deal with our images now, and we're going to do some similar things, because this will have the same styling as this, and it will have the same styling as this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a class to this, to my hero component, and then I'm going to style it using CSS, because as you can see, this is like an overlay on top of the image, because you can't really grab the image from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a class name on this, and I'm going to give this a class name of hero, like that. And then we're going to have to display this as none, and then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab all of this, which ends where? Where does this end? Seriously, this ends here, and I'm going to add a class of overlay on this, like that. And then let me go into my index CSS, like that. Let me close all of these down, like that. And then I'm going to target my hero. Actually, the hero comes for section 2. So for the hero, I'm going to say background what they have here, background URL like that, and it's coming from my images folder, and it's called hero 1600, and I'm going to set it to no repeat for the background, and I'm going to center it and cover like that, and we should see this. So we want to remove this small image, and I'm going to go into my hero.js, give this image a class name of hero-img like that, and then I'm going to say for my from my hero-img I want to display none, and this happens because this doesn't technically take up any space, so we can fix that by saying height, let's set that to let me say 500 pixels like that, and it appears at the bottom. Let me just see, the size is a bit bigger, let me say is 700, let's say 700 for this. Actually, let me close this down, and this is just a bit big as well, so let me reduce this to 600, which should be fine like that. And then we want to deal with this now. Okay, so I'm going to go into my hero.js, and I'm going to go where was it, bg gray here, and I'm going to say for the medium width, then I want not the medium width but the media query for the medium devices, then I want the bg to, can I say transparent should be, it works. Okay, it works like that. And then I want to text left, so that is no longer text center. Does it work? This is text center, so I want text left. Let me just see how this looks. Text, cursor text, select text. No, text left. Yeah, text left should work. Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? Let me say for the medium here, and let's say text left. Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go, it works. And then oops, oh, I know what I did wrong. This should be inside a media query. This should be inside a media query, so let me place it at the bottom and say at media, let's say min width of 640 pixels. Then I can paste that in so that it doesn't interfere with our previous styling from Tailwind. There you go. And because I don't want this here, let me add this to 760 pixels like that, and it will break just a bit. So let me turn this to 640, and let me change this to small like that, and change this to small as well, so that we have that. And then I can say because I want this text to push downwards, right? I want this text to push downwards to be right about at the center. I can say for my overlay class, right? I can target my overlay class. So for the hero, and then I want to target the overlay. I want to display flex. I want to align it at center, justify content center, and let me add a height of 600 pixels so that it pushes down by 600 pixels. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Let me say flex direction column, and then remove align item center. I can go inside my paragraph, right? Because this is a paragraph, if I remember correctly. This is a paragraph, and I want, because these are multiple paragraphs, I want the paragraph with the class name of, let me say actually, no, let me just go here and say for the small, I want the why isn't this working, by the way? Why isn't this working? If I were to say block, then it would go like that, nothing happens. So let me just check this out once again. Inline block, display inline, display inline flex, inline grid. I'm just going to say for the small, I want it to display as an inline element. Did I add some different styling to this or what? You know what, let me just give this a paragraph. Let me just give this paragraph a class of countdown sale and shop now. Let me say for the bottom, I want the inline block, but it doesn't work because I have justify center here. Is it? Let me remove this. This is actually really curious. Whoa. Okay, so I need justify center so that it moves down, and then okay, you know what, let me do this hero, and I want the overlay class, and I want the paragraph with the class of bg dash, what did I have here? This is bg red 600 and this is bg white. Okay, so I want the paragraph with the class of bg white, and let me say display inline block. But that doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Because it's a flex item. It doesn't work because it's a flex item. Is that it? So if it's a flex item, I can do something cheesy on it. I can say something like I can do something like, let me remove this, and I can say position absolute, which will take it down there, not down but top. And then once it does that, then I can say I want it 50% from the top, which will take it down. And then let me say transform and translate the y-axis by minus 50%, which will move it up a bit. And then let me change this to 40%, which will place it right there. And would you look at that? Would you look at that? But this is not technically what I want. So what I can do is I can target my hero, and I can target my overlay class, and I can target my paragraph with the class of this paragraph. What does this paragraph have a class of? Nothing. And I can say class name, and I can just say class name of text, like that. So my paragraph with the class of text, and I want the width to be 500 pixels, which will limit it just a bit, and I want it to be even smaller, so let me say 300, which will do that. Okay, and it will do that. And on bigger screens, I just want to change this. Just want to change this so I can say media mean width of let's say 900 pixels. Then I just want to change this to 500, like that, and it looks much better. Okay, so once we do that, as you can see, now we have our image right there, and we have everything all styled out. Then I just want to add the styles of hero and overlay on each of these, so that they can do the same. Oops, actually I've just remembered something. It probably won't be it probably won't have the same styling as I'm expecting. So let me say position this as relative. Actually, position that as relative. Let me change this back to 50%. See if it changes, like that. And I can say, you know what, there's no harm in trying. So let me say for my game pass, let me place this full screen so that I can see what styles I actually need to add, and where I need to add class name of hero right there, class name of hero right there, and then on the image I need a class name of hero dash img, and then on the div for this I need a class name of overlay like that, and I think that should be it. That should be it, except for this. I'm going to figure it out in a moment. Let me save that. And we have that. Okay, so we need to change this image. We need to change this image. Okay. So let me give this a class of hero dash one, or let me just say game pass dash hero like that, and then I can go into my media query and I can grab this. Actually, all I need to do is just change this. So I'm going to say for my game pass, place a comment, and I can say game pass. What class did I give it? Game pass hero, game pass dash hero. Then I just want to change the background color to game pass 1600. I think that's what I called it. And just confirm. I need to. Oh, one thing I forgot to show you is that I actually imported my image, my hero image, into my images folder. So in case it's not working for you, please, this is what you might have done wrong, or maybe not done wrong really, but because you didn't know, this is what I didn't explain. And then for the images, let me grab this holiday. This is the image for the dog, and then I need to grab my game pass 1600. So this one plus this one, copy that, and then place it inside my images folder, paste them in, and then I can begin styling. Change this to game underscore pass underscore 600 like that. Let's see that, and we have that. And we need to change this for medium screens. Let me see how this looks. Yep, we need to change it to BG transparent and text aligned left, right. So game pass, inside my game pass, I'm going to go inside this and say for medium screens I want, actually it was for small screens, I want the BG to be transparent, and then for small screens, once again, let me text left like that, and we have that. And then I'm going to, this paragraph, I'm going to give it the same class as this so that it doesn't go all the way to the end, and I'm going to give it the class that I had of, what was it, text. So this paragraph, I'm going to add a class of text on it, and we have that looking nice, looking very nice. Let me add a margin of 4 on this, then I push it down. Okay, and then finally we need to do the same for this image. Okay, and we will be done. So for this holiday, my class, I need to give this a class name of hero like that. Give this image a class name of hero dash img, and then give this other class of this holiday like that, so that I can change the image on this. And then give this text a class name of text, the paragraph, sorry, a class name of text. And then we need to add some stylings further, so you can change this background color. So on the MD, I'm going to say for the small screen, I want the BG transparent, and then once again for the small, I want to text left. Let's save that, and we will have this. So all we need to do is change the image. Okay, so for this holiday, actually, why isn't this anyway, let me just change the image first. So for this holiday, this holiday, I can say this dash holiday, and I'm going to grab this, copy that, paste it there, and change it to this holiday 1600 PNG. So this underscore holiday, underscore 600b like that, and we will have that. Okay, so what am I missing? Why isn't this aligning to the center? What am I missing? Oh, the overlay class. I'm missing the overlay class on this, so this should have a class of overlay like that. Very, very nice. Would you look at that? Okay, so I think we're done with the responsiveness for this. We are done with the footer. We've done this responsiveness, and we are done with this and this as well. Oh, for the hover effect, I've just remembered the hover effect has a slight opacity on it. I don't know whether you can see it, but the hover effect does have a slight opacity on it. So let's deal with that. Let's deal with that for this. Okay, so I'm going to go into my let me close this, my hero. Let me close my data and my images, and then I'm going to go into my choose your MS, no, into my section 2, and then for each div, then I want to add a class name on it, and I'm going to say for the hover I want opacity. How do you add opacity on this? Opacity, I want the opacity to, where is it, BG opacity. I want to add opacity, let me say 70, so BG opacity 70. Let's do that. Let's see. Oops, did I do that correctly? Did I do that correctly? Let me say BG red 500 just to see where this is. Okay, it's right there. Okay. I want the opacity on the image, right? So let me remove this from there. Let me add a class name on the image. So class name of for the hover, I want the BG opacity to be 70. Really? It's not working. Why isn't it working? When used with BG color. Okay. Set background opacity. I don't think that's really much of a big deal, really. That's not really much of a big deal. And one more thing that we need to do, I've just remembered one more thing that we need to do is I need to limit this. I need to limit everything. As you can see, I need to limit everything. Let me see if Tailwind has a class of container on it. Container, let me see. Okay, so container large, and I want container XL. Okay, so let's see. Oops. For my section 2, let me add for, wait a minute. Wait. XL, let me add XL and say container. Let's see that. Is that how you add that class? How do you even add that class? Let's see. I need just to add the class of container on this. Why do I feel like this is no longer working? I feel like this is no longer working. Okay, so let's do this. I can say container max width to max min width of the current breakpoint, max width 100. Really. The container class, I need to add the container class. Let's see on my workspace, in my app.js, function app, header, Let me try something. Let me add a class name here. Let me add the class name of container. That doesn't work. If I were to add it to the hero, it doesn't work either. Oops. Why don't you work? Why don't you work? Why don't you work? Let's see. I can do something else, and I can add a margin instead. I can add a margin instead on each of these. So let me just try something. On the margin for the extra large, let me say margin on the x-axis of 20. Does margin even reach 20 for the? Okay, it does. For some margin 20. I can just grab this, copy it for my, where's my header? I can do that here for the header, which will do this, bring it inwards. For my choose your MS, I can do that there. For my footer, I can do, wait, does the footer have it? No, the footer doesn't have it. So I can do that for my my game pass. The game pass does have it. Okay, so for the game pass, I can do that here, add that class, and then for my what's it called? This is MS response COVID-19, like that. Place that there. For my section 2, I already have it. For my section 3, need to place it there. For my socials, I don't need it on the socials, but for this holiday, I can place it there. Let's see that. Let's see how that looks. Pushes it inwards just a bit, and I haven't added it on my hero. I need to add it on my hero, right? On my hero. So my hero, let me place it right there, like that. Okay, it's looking nice. It's almost there. It's almost there, almost. And now these bits are looking very big to me, so let me reduce them in my index CSS. Let me close this. Let me close that. Open editors. Let me close this, everything like that. And then let me do for the hero. Let me do 500 pixels. It will reduce that, and it reduces that as well, and reduces that as well. And then let me add padding on the footer on the left right there, so that it can match up to this. And for the footer, let me go back to the footer. For the footer, I want this margin to apply for extra large classes. For extra large, I'm going to say padding on the Y, not on the Y, but on the left, padding left of 20. See that? Moves it inwards. And then for this as well, I'm going to do that, and then move this inwards as well. So I can do that by going right here and saying padding on the X, because now for this class I want it on the X axis, but I want it for the extra large class. So padding on the X of 20 on its side, so it moves inwards. And then let me do that for this, which is my social, like that, my social. Okay, and I want for the extra large classes, again I want the padding on the left of 20, moves it inwards like that. Okay, so it's just more uniform, much better looking. And the reason why this is inwards a bit is because we had a padding on the, before we placed the grid, we had a padding, if you can remember that. Okay, and then let me see. Now all we need to do is deal with our header now. Okay. So let's deal with that. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm in my header.js. Okay, let me close this and this, and in my header.js we are going to grab this in our CSS. So this will be custom CSS once again, and we're going to remove it from the web page, so display none, so that this moves to the right, our logo moves to the right. And then we're going to add a few things after the logo. Let me see how this looks. Right, okay, so I'm going to grab this, place it inside a div like that, and then place another div. Let me not say a div. I'm going to place, say, a UL with the list items like that. List items totaling 1 2 3 4 5 6 like that. Let me just place this to the side so that I can just copy it, and I'm going to say Microsoft 365, and then Office, and then Windows, and then Surface, and then Xbox like that, and deals, and we need one more, so oops, then support like that. And then this will have a few extra items, I guess. So with this we'll have the sign in. How do I do this? This has the Microsoft search card sign in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also grab this, and I'm just going to display it as none, and I'm going to create another div with ULs and LIs, 4 of them, and I'm going to say all Microsoft like that, and I'm going to say search, and I'm going to say cart, and then I'm going to say sign in like that. Let me save that, and it will show things like that, which will break application on smaller screens. So I'm going to do this for 768 pixels. So let me go into my index CSS, and in my 768 pixels, let me go below above that. So media mean width of 768 pixels. I'm going to grab my header, and inside my header I want to grab this class, so menu btn. So I'm going to say header, and I want the header.menu-btn, and I want to display none, but I want to do that for this class as well, for the cut class, right? So I can do that by going right there, and I'm saying for the header once again, and I want the cut class, and I want both of them to display none like that. So we are remaining in these two, as you can see. And then we can begin to now work with this, and we can say because technically now this is gone, so we need this class of logo, and I want to target the ULs. So I'm going to go inside my header inside the class of logo, and I'm just going to say display flex, so that they go side by side like that. And then I'm going to go inside my logo class once again and target the ULs. Target the URLs, and I'm going to say display flex on them once again, and I'm going to say align item center and justify content center, and then I want to space them out a bit, so I'm going to grab this and target the list items, and I'm going to say margin of 0 on the top and bottom, and 20 pixels on the left and right, so that they space out. Oops, that's too big. Let's say 5 pixels. No, let's say 10 pixels like that. Let me reduce the font size. So font size, let me reduce the font size to 14 pixels like that. Okay, and now let's deal with this. So once again, this is technically gone. Okay, so I can go inside this div, and let me give this a class name of what do you say? Let me just call it sign-in, so sign in like that, and then I can go inside. Is this still inside the logo? I think it should be outside the logo. Where does logo end? Right there. Okay, so inside my header class, inside my header class, I just want to target my sign in, and I'm going to say for the sign in I want to target the ULs, which I want to display flex like that, and then let me target the LIs so that I can space them out a bit, so margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 10 pixels on left and right. And once again, let me reduce the font size, so font size to 14 pixels like that, looking very nice and amazing. Now what you'll notice is that I've not done the toggle, and that is practically on purpose because I don't want to this is a very hard thing to do for the toggle. So I'm just going to target this about 760 pixels, where I can now do the opposite that I've done here. So I'm going to grab this and display it as none, and then this I'm going to display as blocks so that we can go back to our original what's called display for the mobile, because right now this is what we have and that's not technically what we want. Okay, so let me just place it, actually let me just place it like that, and then I can say for a media and a max width, let me say a max width of 768 pixels. Then I want to grab the sign in. I don't want the sign in to show, right? So I'm going to grab this, I'm going to paste it there, and I'm just going to say display none. Oops, display none like that, which will remove, really it should remove this, but it doesn't. Okay, there you go, it removes that. And then I want to grab this UL once again and remove it, so it's inside my header class. So for the header, it's inside the logo and it's the UL like that, and that should remove that like that. And we go back to our original value. So once I increase this at greater widths, it returns the navbar, and on smaller widths it removes the navbar. Would you look at that? It's looking very nice, very responsive. Now what you notice that I only used the 1600 pixels image for this. That's why this is going all the way out of the side. There are other images on the Microsoft website for each of the breakpoints if you want to take a look at them, but that's not technically what I wanted to do. And would you look at that, we have our homepage looking very nice, built in React and Tailwind CSS. And I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe and all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next video.